Valley Talk on News Talk 1580 KGAL.
This is Valley Talk, and it is Monday the 17th. A little rainy outside, somewhat appropriate. I believe also in Newtown, Connecticut, the weather is dismal as well. The issue that we're going to be talking about today is public shootings, mall shootings, school shootings. The nation's been rocked by news of what's happened in Newtown, Connecticut. That's all you're hearing right now on talk radio. And typically we don't pick up a national topic on our local talk show, Valley Talk, but this particular news story just is something that deserves a lot of attention locally and also nationally about what happened. The overriding cry out from people is what provoked this young man to just go on a shooting rampage and just go in and just horrifically murder 20 young people under 7 years of age. Most of the victims, according to the news reports I'm seeing, every single victim in the Newtown, Connecticut shooting had more than one round or one bullet in their body. This was a very cold, calculated, premeditated act. And we're seeing this kind of thing happening on a routine basis here in the United States. And school shootings are becoming commonplace. The mall shootings have become commonplace. There was one in Clackamas Town Center in Portland. And there's a renewed cry for gun control. We're going to be talking about that on the show this morning. We want to know what you think. And you can email me at dave@kgal.com, or you can call into the show at 541-981-2195. 541-981-2195 is the number to call. You can call right now if you want. Bill Graybill is with me in the studio, and he's a pastor from the Mid-Willamette Valley, also has a book called Resolving Conflict God's Way. He's been on the show before. I asked him to come and be a part of this show as we talk very candidly about what's going on in the country today. We've talked before the show. I have some of my ideas about what's going on. Bill shares some of those and agrees with some of them. We're going to talk about that, and we want you to be involved in the conversation as well. Again, the number is 541-981-2195 if you want to be on the air on Valley Talk to talk about this topic, or if you don't want to be on the air and still want to participate, you can email me at dave@kgal.com. You can also sign up for a chance to win a $10 gift certificate from Quiznos Taste on Us. We give away a $10 certificate from the Albany Quiznos store. That's located right next to a G.I. Joe Sporting Goods location, the former G.I. Joe Sporting Goods location, and next to Novak's Restaurant. Dale and the crew good enough to be Valley Talk sponsors. I eat lunch there every day. Great bunch of people and great sandwiches, and just thank them for doing that and giving you an opportunity to get a $10 certificate from Quiznos. Bill, what went through your mind when you heard the story about Newtown, Connecticut?
Well, you know, I was busy all day, and actually I was doing something else, and my son texted me and said, "Dad," and he brought up the subject, and I had to go to the news and find out what was happening because I'd been off the air. I'd just gotten back from Africa and was not engaged into what was happening, unpacking, getting things done. And when I heard that, you know, what can you say? I mean, just as it began to unfold, I thought, wow, again. And, you know, my heart obviously was broken, but I got a little angry. And actually, I got pretty angry at just what is happening within our culture and our society, and it seems like we just keep trying the same answers over and over and over without any better results. In fact, if anything, these things are becoming more and more common.
We had a gentleman in the studio the other day, and we were talking about gun control, and he was one of the segments of the show. We were talking about was a previous shooting, and he was mentioning that in Australia they tried gun control. They tried to take guns away from the citizens, and the result was not good. They actually had more incidents of crime involving firearms because the people that illegally use firearms can illegally obtain them. And the firearms are prevalent out there. We let the genie out of the bottle. So if we, right now, today, I believe, and one of the things we should probably do is put a disclaimer here, that the opinions expressed by myself and by Bill are our opinions. They do not necessarily reflect the staff and management of KGAL Broadcasting, Eads Broadcasting, Valley Talk, any of the sponsors, Quiznos, or Dale or any of the crew at Chris knows, they're our opinions. And the cool thing about the United States today is we can express our opinions, and we can express them publicly without fear of somebody coming in and arresting us.
That's right. And my opinions sometimes I think are not always politically in the vogue right now, but I've watched this I'm 61, and I've watched a lot of life happen.
So have I.
And I just see us choosing the same answers, but not getting the results we need. So I think it's time to maybe try some other things.
One of the things that I think we should try, these video games that are out there, they're graphic, they're real life, the resolution, the graphics of these new video games out there today it's like you're doing it in real life. The blood squirting, and you're going in and you're systematically going in and killing cops, and you're killing people, and I'm not going to mention any of the names of the games, but if we're going to regulate and control something, we need to start there. I am not a fan of gun control. A little bit of my background, I was in competition shooting when I was in junior high, just 22s and so on and so forth. Every week I went out to the range, we had an inside range, and we shot competitively. We had a lot of fun. Nobody turned the gun on anybody else. When I was raised, my dad, there was a gun cabinet in the room. There was my bedroom, and there was deer rifles, there was some handguns, there was a .38, there was several hundred rounds of ammunition there. I grew up around this. I helped reload shotgun shells with my dad when I was a little kid. And I haven't turned the gun on anybody or went on a shooting rampage. And even today, the thought of turning a gun on somebody and pulling the trigger is appalling to me. It's disgusting. So I don't believe that taking guns off the street will help. I believe what it will do is it will disarm civilians and make it harder for them to defend themselves. That's my personal opinion.
Yeah, and I think you're correct in a lot of ways. That obviously those intent on doing this are going to get guns. It may stop the casual opportunist a kid who finds a gun in his dad's drawer and takes it to school to be cool or something. It may begin to stop that, but it's not going to really cut down, I don't think, those who are bent on doing this. Maybe some of the casual, but I'm like you. I grew up with guns. I lived in the country. My dad bought me a .22 when I was probably 8 years old, and I went out hunting in the hills and never had any problem, never thought about shooting. But I want to go back to something you said earlier,
Sure.
Dave, and that is the video games. I think there's a desensitizing that's going on with our kids. And I don't always just see it in the video games, although they are very graphic. I see it even in the sitcoms. There's always some sort of bullying. Now, we don't call it bullying, but there's always a goat in the butt of every joke, somebody who is being treated inappropriately. And so we there's this whole area of our culture. I mean, I hate to admit it, I grew up in Leave It to Beaver days. And
I was a few years beyond that, but I've seen the show.
But what was the values taught when we sat there compared to the values taught today? And values is what we live out our life. So what are we teaching value-wise? And I think that's really key.
I think it's very key. And the programs that I don't even like to watch them. And we'll just put names out here, CSI. And those were graphically the resolutions and the graphics that they used in the show are incredible. But I agree with you. I think it desensitizes us to the human issue here, where we just see a bullet go into a body and splatter, and it goes into an X-ray, and it makes it very mechanical and very. It detaches us from the personal aspect of going out and shooting someone. I have a problem with those shows.
Yeah, well, you never see the mourning of the family. You never see the consequences. You see the detective. They kill somebody, and then it's all about the process rather than the consequences of those actions. So no, there's never consequences to these shows, and there's never consequences in the video game because you turn it off. And I'm very careful because I don't want to sound like, well, I'm against everything.
Mm-hmm.
But we're going down a path, and if we stop and think about it, it seems pretty obvious to me where the path is and how it started, and that all of our trying to be nice, and the president talking after the Tucson shooting about let's not have this kind of talk. Well, it doesn't seem to be helping. We need to get back to some values that are being taught everywhere. And I think TV is huge because they spend billions of dollars telling us that advertising works, and then they turn around and say, well, these shows don't matter because they really don't affect us.
How much money do we spend on a 60-second ad on the Super Bowl? Millions.
Yeah, millions, right.
But you watch a video game for hours a day,
yeah,
and that doesn't affect your behavior.
You participate, and you're pulling the trigger?
Come on. Yeah, this is doing something to people's psyche.
And yet on the other side, I don't want to become, I travel outside the United States, and I don't want to become some of those countries I travel to. We are a freedom-loving country, and we do have freedoms. But how do we do that? I don't want to do it by law, but I want to see it happen. I guess I didn't buy those games for my kids. Now my kids are older than some of them, but because they are in their early 30s. But we watched, and we did not allow TV. We just didn't do the wholesale things that the culture allows, and we made choices.
What I was just thinking of is my second wife was from New Zealand, and she married me and came to the United States. There were people in New Zealand that were terrified of her moving to the United States because they said, you're going to die. Because their image of the United States is it's the Wild West, and everybody's got a 6-gun on their side. And it's like a shooting gallery out there on Main Street, Albany, every day, because that's what they see. They just see shooting.
Right.
And they tried to talk her out of moving to the United States because they firmly believed that she would die on the streets of America because of all the shooting. And she lived here for 6-7 years, didn't get shot once, and went back there as proof that, it doesn't happen everywhere all the time, but it is happening at an alarming rate, and we need to do something about it.
Yeah.
As far as gun control, let's talk about this. And again, the phone lines are open, 541-981-2195, or you can email me at dave@kgal.com. All right. Assault weapons. The Bushmaster, I believe it was the Bushmaster 223, a semi-automatic assault rifle. Very efficient weapon. It's designed to kill people en masse, and it does a very good job of it, as we saw in Newtown, Connecticut. What do you think about putting a ban on assault weapons, that the average normal citizen like you or I cannot go out and buy an assault weapon? You can buy the Bushmaster. In fact, I looked it up on the website, and you can buy one for about $700 online right now. Bushmaster 223.
Wow. Well, personally, I have some guns. And I don't have any assault rifles. If I was to go down that line of gun control, there are obviously bazookas are not allowed, and then the question comes, where do you draw the line? Is it, okay, if we don't allow bazookas and shoulder missiles, where do we draw that line? And I don't know that answer, but I'm definitely not into gun control in the sense that feeling that the average citizen should be disarmed. In fact, if anything, I go the other side. I feel that we are creating places where killing can happen completely and thoroughly because we are outlawing any option of self-protection.
I totally agree with that. What happens is they're going into schools, and I've been reading some of the commentaries on the internet, and one of the reasons, especially in the smaller towns, that they choose the schools is that's the hub of the community. They're looking for shock value in their event, and they're looking for massive target opportunity, target-rich environment, and that's a school. They're looking for an emotional impact. They're looking for a story that's going to make huge headlines, and so they go to a local school, like in this case, a kindergarten, elementary school. You made a comment that, in fact, I agree with, and maybe this will elicit some phone calls or at least some emails. You were mentioning, and I hope it's okay to repeat this, and I, in fact, agree with it. Number one, assault rifles. I'm willing to listen to the fact that maybe we should ban the ownership of assault rifles by the normal citizenry. Why do I, in Albany, Oregon, need to own an AR-15? However, I think I have every right to own a 38, a Glock, or something for self-protection. Let's arm the teachers. That was an idea that you had. I totally agree with it. The problem I have today, a guy walks into a school, a guy walks into a movie theater with an AR-15, semi-automatic, or even if he's available, you can modify some of these semi-autos to make them totally automatic, and you can just spray the place with bullets. Nobody can shoot back because nobody's armed.
That's right, and they know it. I mean, and the people who are coming with the guns know that there's no protection. And as a pastor, I've thought about this because over the years, we've had a number of shootings in churches.
Yes, we have.
Colorado, different ones, where somebody walks into the church, and I don't pack, I don't personally carry, but I do know that there are people in churches who do carry. And a
lot of churches are smartly, I think, putting people in their congregations that are armed.
Yes, because again, it's a place where it makes high shock value, lots of news coverage, and even though you may die, these people seem to be wanting to get their name out as for some self gratification.
And it's a very sick, because they normally kill themselves. I don't know if they plan on killing themselves before they go in, but you're making a big name for yourself and you're dead.
And I noticed some of the newscasters are not repeating the names of those who are doing the crime, because they're just saying, I'm not going to give them the notoriety. So that's a good step.
I think that's a great step.
Yeah.
So what do you think about arming teachers? There are some people that say, well, it's just going to turn it into a shooting gallery. My position, I think yours is too, is right now the problem we have is that the ammunition is going in one direction. We've got to do something to stop these shooters. One way you do that is shoot back. And I think we should arm pilots, and I think we should arm teachers. Or give them the option to be armed.
Give them the option. I'm an optional person, but what if there had been an armed guard?
Okay.
And he may have been across campus, but instead of somebody going systematically classroom to classroom, as soon as it started, there would have been somebody there to at least run interference.
Now, the people that go in and do the shooting, the shooters, if we could call them that, they're calculating. If there's an armed guard so marked with a uniform and a sidearm, he's probably, or she is probably going to be the first target. So my suggestion would be to have concealed carry by some teachers who are trained, so that they're not an open target initially when the gunman comes in and starts taking students out. Because the first target he's going to do is he's going to take out the armed guard.
Right. Well, there's also custodial staff that can be trained, and it doesn't have to just be teachers. There's other staff on a campus. I was part of custodian staff for years at different school districts in my younger days. And there's always that staff around also.
Interested in your comments? The phone lines are open, 981-2195, 541-981-2195. You can email me at dave@kgal.com. By the way, I should also mention that we're both pastors. Bill's a pastor, I'm a pastor. So you've got two pastors here saying that we don't have a problem with people being armed.
There's people that come to my church every Sunday that I know are carrying. And now, it's no big, we don't talk about it and stuff, but I know somebody walks in, there's going to be somebody there who is carrying. And it's not because I placed them there either.
And when you could say, let's turn the other cheek, the problem I have is people are dying on the streets of America and in the classrooms of America. They have every right to live. These are 6, 7-year-old kids that will never be married. They'll never know what it's like to fall in love. They'll never know what it's like to be married. They'll never know what it's like to have grandkids, to have kids. They'll never see the birth of their grandchild. We've got to stop this. And I don't believe that disarming the citizenry is a way to stop this. So we're interested in what you think. Valley Talk will continue, and we'll do it in just a moment.
Banking these days can be pretty impersonal. You've got your big banks, your internet banks, your do-it-yourself banks, and your too big to fail banks. That's wwhy you might be interested in an alternative. Willamette Community Bank. Hello, this is Bill Higbee, residential lender. You deserve better service without sacrificing a thing. So if you're feeling underserved, make the switch to the best banking option out there, with branches in Albany and Lebanon.
Willamette Community Bank. Service like no other. We promise. Member FDIC. Equal housing lender.
'Tis the season to be simply beautiful, comfy, cozy, elegant, sophisticated, sassy, and sexy. From Donna Bella's Fine Lingerie in Corvallis, you'll find the finest lingerie from around the world at Donna Bella's, featuring fashion and everyday bras and nursing bras for that new mom. Have fun shopping this holiday season by adding sparkle to your wardrobe. Choose from a glamorous display of jewelry for under the tree. Escape to new pleasures and make holiday shopping fun with free gift wrapping and gift certificates to make it easier on you and that man in your life. Donna Bella's Fine Lingerie, where personal service is expected and product selection supreme. The dedicated staff of professional fitters are determined to change the way you feel about your bra. Come discover the Bella in you for the new year. 'Tis the season to be simply beautiful from Donna Bella's Fine Lingerie in Corvallis. Easy to find. Highway 34 over the bridge to 117 Northwest 2nd Street.
The Mennonite Village presents Memories of Christmas.
One of the things that we do after Christmas each year that was really impressive was the memorial service that we have first week of January in memory of all of the residents that have passed away either in the healthcare center or from on campus. We have a brief ceremony, and then family members are invited, and they're given a little ornament to hang on a Christmas tree in memory of their loved one with their name on it. And if a family member can't be here, then staff always volunteers, and there's a number of staff that volunteer to actually hang that person's name in memory of them, on the Christmas tree.
That's John Kohler from the Mennonite Village Foundation. John continues.
That's a very emotional time, and it's just a very honoring situation, for those who have passed away and the families. Just love it and love to participate in it.
Memories of Christmas, brought to you by the folks at the Mennonite Village. These memories are available on the World Wide Web at KGAL.com.
Deep clean, squeaky clean, that's what you want for your home and business. TM Janitors has been providing just that for years throughout the Mid-Valley. Glowing reports from Philomath, North Albany, Corvallis, Lebanon. Happy, satisfied clients. Great value, too, a fraction of the price of the national franchises. Get a quote from TM Janitors today. Mention this ad and get $50 off your initial deep cleaning. Call now, TM Janitors, 570-9711. Make a note, TM Janitors, 570-9711.
If it happens overnight, Eric and Gary have it live during Red Eye Radio on Smart Talk 1580 KGAL.
This is Valley Talk. I'm Dave Adams, and we have Bill Graybill on the show with us today. By the way, we do want to make a couple of notes here. Hasso Herring is going to be with us in the studio tomorrow. We're going to be talking about the recent Oregon special session where Nike was given some tax incentives. We also want to talk about the Eddyville project. That's the highway project that is running into some challenges in the Eddyville area, and we're going to be talking about that. A 10-mile section of Highway 20, they're trying to straighten it. They tried to put up a big bridge. The pillars were starting to move because of ground movement, and so the Oregon Department of Transportation is taking another look at the project. Should we continue to spend money on the project or what? We're going to be talking about that with Hasso Herring. We're also going to talk to Hasso about these shootings. That's going to be tomorrow. And then we have a young man on Wednesday that was a fisherman in the Bering Sea. Have you seen the movie or the TV show The Deadliest Catch? Well, Kyle Ziegler worked on a boat in the Bering Sea, and he likens it to combat as far as the danger involved in that, and he's going to be sharing some of his experiences here on Valley Talk. That's coming up Wednesday on the program. Dr. Bill Graybill, is in with us today, and we're talking about public shootings, mall shootings, Clackamas Town Center, the Newtown, Connecticut elementary school shooting. Tragically, 20 young people under 7 years of age were killed, some adults. The victims, there was not a single victim with only one bullet in them. Bill heard a news report that one young girl had 11 bullets in her.
That's what I heard, yes.
So what we're talking, and I want to hear what you think. Should people be allowed to carry concealed weapons? Should we outlaw assault weapons? Should we arm the teachers? Should we arm pilots? What do we need to do to do this? Should we outlaw video games? Graphic video games where essentially, I think, in some ways, young people are being trained how to kill. And it's dehumanizing us to the point where it's easier to pull the trigger. That's my opinion. Again, the opinions expressed, especially on today's show, do not necessarily reflect those of staff or management of KGAL Eads Broadcasting or any of the sponsors therein. We did have Susie at the radio station just emailed me something from the internet. This is from the Easy Bake Gun Club. I was not aware of this, but the Clackamas Mall shooter was confronted by a concealed carry permit holder who was carrying today. I'm going to read the story. You can go to the Easy Bake Gun Club, and you can read the story with me as well, or do it later. On Tuesday, I'm just going to read it. Tuesday night, 22-year-old Nick Millai went to the Clackamas Town Center Mall with his friends Casey and Ashley, as well as Ashley's 4-month-old son. They were walking through the mall when a masked gunman, Jacob Tyler Roberts, opened fire. Nick's reaction. Now, Nick is a concealed carry permit holder and had his weapon. Nick's reaction, he says, I heard 3 shots, turned and looked at Casey and said, are you serious? Nick told Casey to get down with the baby, positioned himself behind a pillar in the mall. Nick is a licensed concealed carrier in Oregon. When Nick looked around the pillar, he drew his weapon. When the shooting suddenly stopped, what we now know is Robert's weapon jamming, Nick saw him trying to clear the malfunction. Nick says that the shooter was working on his rifle. He kept pulling the charging handle back and hitting the side. That's what Nick told reporters. Roberts and Nick clearly saw each other as Nick lined up to take a shot with his handgun. Now, Nick, in this case, if we can call him the good guy, the shooter knew there was a problem. As I was going down to pull, in other words, he lined up the shot. When you're going to take a shot, you make sure the background is clear so that if there's a ricochet or there's nobody in the background that they'll get hurt. Nick was saying, as I was going to pull, I saw someone in the back of the shooter move and knew that if I fired and missed, I could possibly hit them. Now, the concealed weapon permit holder has a handgun, and it's harder. You have to be really, really, really good. Sharpshooters don't shoot with handguns, they shoot with rifles. Unable to safely take the shot without risking innocence, which is, according to the story, Colonel Jeff Cooper's firearms rule number 4 for those counting, if you want to go and check it. If you cannot safely take the shot, don't take the shot, because somebody innocent could get hurt. Nick took cover inside his store. He stands by his choice not to pull the trigger, saying that I'm not beating myself up because I didn't shoot. I knew after he saw me, I think the last shot he fired was the one he used on himself, because now the shooter knows that he's in somebody's bullseye, that there's now somebody with a weapon and they're aiming at him and getting ready to take a shot. Even though Nick never fired a shot, Roberts knew that he was no longer the only armed man in the mall, that somebody had pulled and was ready to take a shot. Roberts retreated into the stairwell, cleared his weapons malfunction, and committed suicide rather than continue attacking and killing many more innocent civilians. This website, Easy Bake Gun Club, goes on to say, there's a famous saying that the only thing that can stop a bad man with a gun is a good man with a gun. On Tuesday night, Nick Millai was that good man with a gun. Even though he did not fire a shot, Nick believes, and I think you can argue, changed Jacob Roberts' plan and possibly helped save some lives. So what stopped the gunmen? In this case, it appears that the gunmen realized someone had a bead on him. And what I mean by that is somebody was lining up to take a shot and take him out. And that may have been what stopped him. So this kind of confirms what we're saying.
Yeah, and I think that the important fact is that there was somebody with a concealed permit who knew what he was doing.
Right.
You know, you're just not turning guns loose. You have to know what you're doing. And I've been through the classes, and they teach you what to do. Like I said earlier, I don't have a permit and I don't carry, but I've been through the classes because I am interested in weapons. And here's somebody who knew exactly what to do and responsible. It's painted, I think guns are painted as the problem. It's obviously the people who have them. And Dave, we were talking earlier, and I want to bring up something that I don't know where it'll go, but at least here in Newtown, we have a very troubled person. At the other major killings, what we find is very troubled people who are involved in this. And I was thinking during the break, sometimes if we're not careful, we blame we throw a very wide net and just lay the blame out there on soaps, on TV and videos and stuff. But I think we really need to grasp, to come to better grips with how we are dealing with troubled people. We've moved away from the institution, which is fine, but it seems like we don't have a really good way as a side, and I don't have answers. I do not have the answers on this, but that's who we see taking these lives is very troubled people.
One of the things, and people are asking the question why, and what they could have done to stop it. In the story of the Clackamas Town Center shooting, the shooter had sold all of his possessions. That's a warning sign. However, he'd explained to his friends that he was going to Hawaii, which was a lie. So we see here a very calculating person planning it, knowing what people are watching for and taking precautions so they won't stop him. So it's, the gentleman had, I don't want to use the word gentleman, the shooter had a plan in mind, and it was very cold and very calculating. It's hard for us to imagine just what's going on in the psyche of these people. I know one of the things the mental health people are concerned about is because of decreased funding, there might be more people out there that need help that aren't getting it because they don't have the funding to do that.
Wow. Yeah. And I really struggle with that because I see us spending so much money on so many things because everything is now important, and some really key issues are not being funded. And I think mental health is an issue that, as a pastor, I see it. I have people who are struggling and there isn't financing. We've watched it in some of the activities I'm involved in outside the church, the funding going away, that in essence perpetuates some of these issues. So we as a society have lots of issues that we're wrestling with right now. Not easy answers, but I think we need to really talk about it, and I think they need to be, I think we're afraid to talk about it. I think people who, it's almost become a political football, and no one's comfortable anymore because the lines are drawn so firmly. Either you're this side or you're that side, and so I think it has become very difficult to discuss these things, and it's good that we're discussing it today because dialogue has to happen.
I've heard people say that, well, we'll talk about gun control, we'll talk about ways to fix it, but because of the political pushback, nothing will happen. And it bothers me when people say, well, let's not waste any time talking about it because nothing's going to happen anyway. And it's kind of the old theory that, well, if I just ignore the problem, it'll go away. It's not working too well, is it?
Yeah. No,
we're still having these shootings.
Yeah. And I'm on my Facebook page some, and I've seen a lot of things come through that are spiritual in nature, talking about, well, God, where were you at the school? And of course the reply was, well, I was kicked out of school. I wasn't there. And, I take those all with a grain of salt. But where are we as a society going? We're seemingly devaluing life. And that we are not giving personal life its full value. We are created in the image of God, and there's value in that. And we're struggling as a society at this point with that value system.
Let's talk about that a little bit more. We have to take a break right now. Valley Talk will continue in just a moment.
The Osgood File, sponsored in part by LiftMaster Garage Door Openers. Use your smartphone to open or close your garage door anytime from anywhere. This is Charles Osgood. Apartments in big cities are priced according to size, primarily. The bigger they are, the more they cost. Minimum square footage is a badge of honor for some people, though. Meet Jay Austin. He and a couple of other young professionals are spending about $20,000 each to build teeny little box-like homes in a narrow, formerly vacant alley in Washington, D.C. How big will yours be, Jay?
My home will be 150 square feet, roughly.
And his friend, Brian Levy?
About 210 square feet.
And their mutual friend, Lee Para?
Including the loft space, maybe like 180, 200 square feet.
But why would anybody do this?
A desire for financial freedom, not financial necessity. So I think that tiny homes are really great for one who wants to live simply, who wants to live within their means.
Our CBS News colleague, Maurice Dubois, tells me it's already a movement.
Across the country, the tiny home movement is catching on.
As you'll hear after this. Every day, it seems, there's something new your smartphone can do. Now, it can open and close your garage door from anywhere in the world. With a LiftMaster garage door opener with MyQ technology, you can use your smartphone or computer to control your garage door from anywhere, anytime, like right now. And LiftMaster garage door openers with battery backup keep your garage door working, even if the power isn't. Find a dealer near you at liftmaster.com. Go ahead, look it up on your smartphone.
Geico says, let's make life simpler.
You need to buy something, but you don't want to make a mistake. So what do? Scour the web? Collect sales circulars? Ask your brother-in-law? How about this? When it comes to car insurance, Geico has a 97% customer satisfaction rating. I repeat, 97%. So make it simple. Just ask a friend who has Geico. Then click or call. You could make it 98%.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
Maurice Dubois, tell us about this tiny house movement.
In addition to freestanding structures, overcrowded cities, including New York and San Francisco, are experimenting with capsule apartments, residences of less than 300 square feet.
If you want 50 more square feet than that, it will cost you $1,600 a month for the super compacts that developer Monty Hoffman is planning in Washington, D.C.
D.C. developer Monty Hoffman will soon be offering 100 compact apartments, 350 square feet apiece on the city's southwest waterfront.
He says a new generation has better things to buy with their money than square footage.
They're more about experience than they are material things. They like their space, but they like the street theater. The street, the cafes, those become our living room.
The Osgood File. Transcripts, podcasts, and MP3s of these programs can be found at theosgoodfile.com. I'm Charles Osgood on the CBS Radio Network.
Ho, 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 gifts for everyone.
That's right, Santa. Gifts for everyone at J&J Electric at surprisingly low discount prices. Unusual gifts you won't see anywhere else, like pre-lit, wall-hugging, flat Christmas trees, dog Santas. So cute. A great variety of ornaments, scented candles, and decorator items. Stocking stuffers sure to please. Have a bright holiday season from your locally owned J&J Electric. South Pacific at 22nd in Albany.
Ho, 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 Merry Christmas.
Hi, I'm Warren Beeson, and I invented the center ruler to use in my engraving work at Graybill Graphics in Lebanon. Since then, handcrafters from all over the country are finding them invaluable for every craft, from artwork to woodworking and designing to scrapbooking. They make a terrific Christmas gift for any handcrafter, so get one now on the internet at centerruler.com, or you can pick one up at Graybill Graphics in downtown Lebanon. It's a guaranteed 2 thumbs up for any handcrafter.
Ready for new brakes? Or do they need to be readjusted? Then see the ASC certified technicians at Kingsbury Automotive. You'll get peace of mind and competitive pricing with every expert repair. Kingsbury Automotive is inside Lebanon Towing next to 7-Eleven on South Main Street, Lebanon.
Everything for your car and truck. Expert repairs you can trust. Expert repairs you can trust.
258-2240 for Kingsbury Automotive.
Home improvement will never be the same once you've heard the Money Pit. Saturday mornings on Smart Talk 1580.
KGAL Valley Talk. I'm Dave Adams. Dr. Bill Graybill is with us in the studio today. He has written a book called Resolving Conflict God's Way, and he had some interesting comments about earlier in the show that we are desensitizing human life. And I totally agree with him. I think we're doing it. if you want to talk about outlawing something, outlaw these video games. Outlaw these horrific video games that have just stellar graphics. You see the blood spurt, and we're training young people how to kill people, and we're doing it with video games. People are making a fortune on it, and I think it's desensitizing society.
Well, I think part, Dave, is that there are no consequences to anything. The CSI we were talking about at the break, and they set up a murder, but there's no consequences. It's now a detective to solve the murder. They don't ever show the family loss, the grief, all the consequences of that murder. In the video games, there's no consequences. You turn it off at the end, and when you turn it back on, everybody's back. And
game over, restart.
Yeah. So there's never the consequences. And I think that whole desensitizing our culture is happening. Simply even going to life, there's not the value of life with the debate over abortion. And I am a pro-life person because I think all life is a value just because it is life. And that I'm consistent in that throughout my belief system. And we just see this devaluation of life. And so we have a culture that, well, so what? And we don't see that maybe I would even say God component, that sacredness of life. It's just an animal, especially as evolution is being taught more and more. Well, you're just an animal. Well, that means like a dog, you just shoot it. A person, you just shoot it. It's over. It's no value to it.
Lights go out.
Lights go out. Game over. Right.
So we need to get back more to the spiritual aspect.
Well, I think so. I think that the value of life is something bigger than just the beating of the heart. There's something about people that is different, and it's that spiritual dimension that makes us different than the other animals. And I think we are different, and anybody, I don't think evolution could make us this different. I think there's the hand of God in it. And so when we separate that out, and we try to do that in our educational system and all of life, and I've noticed, as a pastor, that it's the church, the spiritual dimension is just tried to be shoved off to the corner. You can do your own thing in America, just don't bring it out into the public spotlight. And then what do we have without that? But what's interesting, I think, is that when we have these tragedies, I notice the song that is always sang at these candlelight vigils, and that's Amazing Grace. Mm-hmm. These things always bring the spiritual side back into focus.
For a brief period of time.
For a brief period of time. But that says something to me about what's in us innately. There is a God-sized whole. There's something about God that we need.
There's a saying that there's no atheists in foxholes. Right now, emotionally, the nation's in a foxhole.
Yeah, right now.
Because we're hurting.
Yeah, and that's that dimension that gives value. Otherwise, we're just blood, cells, and emotions. But we're more than that. And so I think that as we go down this path of separating out the spiritual element, in my 50 years of observing, I just see it not giving us the results we're looking for. I see it kind of like saying, well, that's not working. Let's do it faster and harder and see if it works. And it just is not working.
I think I was sharing the news of the day with a gentleman in a sports club here in Albany the other day. And he was, one of the things it made him remember was when he was in school, there was a young girl that came to school in the middle of winter wearing a bikini and roller skates. And everybody thought she was, stupid, crazy. Look at that idiot. She's wearing roller skates and a bikini. What does she think she's doing? And everybody kind of ostracized her. They just re-emphasized the fact they thought she was an idiot, kind of pushed her aside. That night she went home and killed herself. What she was doing was she was reaching out, and in this display that she was trying to gain attention and trying to, hey, talk to me. Somebody, it was her way of saying, somebody notice me. Somebody talk to me. When that didn't happen, she killed herself. I think there are people that sometimes are even subconsciously trying to reach out, and we're ignoring it. I think that we as people, we as Christians especially, if you call yourself that, you need to be very sensitive to the fact that when people are hurting and reaching out, even if they're doing it in a subconscious way. Let's take, for example, the girl in the bikini and the roller skates. Just go up to her and say, hey, you know, kind of cold outside. What's the deal here? What's going on? What's going on? Why are you doing this? And see what kind of dialogue results. Who knows? You might save somebody's life.
I think as a people, and that is just as people, not as able, but as people, ignoring is something we really are good at. We don't really know what to say, so it's just easier to say nothing or not even to get involved.
Somebody else's problem.
It's somebody else's problem, or I don't know what to say. I'm embarrassed. I might say the wrong thing. So we just turn away. And I, again, looking over this time, the family used to be a stronger element in our culture. And in that strong family, they took care of family members better than now. But with the breakdown of the family, people fall through the cracks. And again, it's these fall through the cracks people that are causing this destruction, because there is no one who's noticing. Now, even as I was driving into the studio today, I was listening to the station, and Dennis Prager had an incredible story on about a gal who had a son who was adopted and she struggled with, and he ended up carrying a gun to school. And it was a very powerful story.
I heard it.
Yeah. But these are troubled people, and they did incredible amount of work trying to find help, never did. And, I don't know what they ended up. It sounded like he ended up institutionalized, but it also sounded like he was unable to handle life outside that very confining situation. So I guess what I'm saying is families, as they break down, we're struggling with people who are falling through the cracks. And then, as you said earlier, funding is going down for programs. And so if we don't find some answers to those who are a little outside the norm, we're going to see more of this.
We are. There's a saying, there's a question out there that's, am I my brother's keeper? And I would say yes. So often in society today, it's easier to disengage. It's not my problem. Let the government deal with it. Let the church deal with it. Let somebody else deal with it. I don't want to take the liability. I don't want to get sued. I don't want to get involved. I don't want to get involved. I don't have enough time. Let somebody else deal with it. And nobody else is dealing with it. So we as a society have to, the word that in my ministry we use a lot is the word engage. You have to be engaged. We can't just plug into our iPod and tune out of society and say, well, you guys, good luck with life, because I'm just going to listen to my iPod and do my thing, and you guys, good luck with doing your own thing. And we'll all just do our own thing and we'll be fine. Well, the problem is there's some people out there that really need some help. And if we're disengaging from them, it's a possibility they're going to wind up in a mall with an AR-15.
Yeah. I was just in Africa, and I was driving through the countryside, just watching the countryside. I love to do it. And I was noticing how many people just sat around visiting. And even on where I was staying, it was a retreat center. People come and just sit and visit. And as a culture, we
don't do that anymore.
We don't do that. We're got the earbuds in, or we're on the video game. I'm always amazed at how fellowship, let's do something together. We go into a black room. We all sit facing a big screen, and we all sit there quietly and call it a great evening of togetherness.
We need to change that. We need to take one more break. This is Valley Talk. Dr. Bill Graybill with me today. We'll be right back.
Now you can manage your printers as easy as you manage your copiers. Managed print services from Ultrex. Maintenance, toner cartridges, and repairs, all in just one monthly payment. Hewlett-Packard, Lexmark, Brother, just to name a few. All you have to do is buy the paper. It's that easy. Just call Ultrex today and ask about their managed print services. Ultrex Business Solutions, your locally owned and operated copier company, proudly supporting our community. Ultrex Business Solutions.
This is Rene Pena Jr. talking about his Nissan NV Cargo on hidden microphone.
This van is kind of square. If it's square, it gives you more room. All that room just helps out. What are you going to do with all these shelves? Filters, just all kinds of stuff. So if you don't have that much space, by the end of the day, your stuff's everywhere. If everything has its place, that's where it's going to go back, you know. Well, aren't you organized?
To get more candid opinions from real Nissan NV Cargo owners, visit candidcargo.com. Nissan. Innovation that excites.
The Home Depot Project Loan is a simple way to put big projects within reach. You not only get no payments and no interest for 6 months, you also get the flexibility of paying it off anytime. So whether it's new flooring or a whole new kitchen, the project loan makes it easy, and we make it possible. Get started now. More saving, more doing. That's the power of the Home Depot. U.S. only, subject to credit approval. Terms and conditions apply. See store for details.
When you hear about a once-in-a-lifetime investment opportunity, you may be tempted to make a hasty decision without considering the risk. This is Leo Smith with Edward Jones, reminding you to investigate before you invest. As your investment representative, I'll be happy to assist you. If you have questions, ask. If you need to, ask twice. You have the right to a full explanation at my office of any investment you might be considering. For an appointment, call me at 451-4402. Edward Jones, members SIPC.
Volcanoes Baseball is where Giants' dreams begin. You'll find the best holiday gift ideas at the Volcano Stadium Pro Shop this holiday season. 6 former Volcano players played in this year's 2012 World Series, and the Volcano Stadium Pro Shop has dozens of items commemorating this historic event. World Series hats, shirts, pennants, blankets, official game baseballs, keychains, buttons, and photographs. Featuring baseball hats and balls from every major league team, and great memorabilia from the Giants' 2010 and 2012 World Series championships. Get your 2013 season tickets now by calling 503-390-2225. 503-390-2225. Or visit the Stadium Pro Shop, open every day till Christmas with fabulous merchandise and gift cards. And once again, the stadium will have Christmas trees for sale on a donation basis as a fundraiser for St. John Bosco High School's athletic program. Make plans to get your tree at the stadium this year. Whether it's tickets, Christmas trees, or Santa Claus, one thing you know for sure. When it's Volcanoes Baseball, it's fun for all. Volcanoes Baseball. Fun, well done. Science and Common Sense. Dr. Bill Wattenberg will surprise you Sunday nights live on Smart Talk 1580.
Hey, this is Valley Talk. I'm Dave Adams, Dr. Bill Graybill. Bill, we have just a few more minutes here in the show. Your book is called, once again?
Resolve Conflict God's Way.
How do they get a copy of it?
They can go to Amazon. Actually, today it's on sale as a Kindle edition. I released it over the weekend for $3.99. It's also available at Rainbow West and or its own website, Resolve Conflict God's Way. And it's a very practical book, just dealing with interpersonal relationships.
The takeaway from the shooting, so on and so forth, what do we need to do as a society?
Wow. You know, I think it just shows the importance of starting young. Again, we talked over the hour, this idea of troubled people, but some are just so frustrated. And if we could resolve conflict a little better, not ignore it, not shove it down, not bury it, but deal with it, we would be better off.
Okay, coming up tomorrow, Hasso Herring in the studio. We're going to talk about Oregon special session. Tax rate for Nike has been granted. Should we have done it? What do you think? And we'll talk about that tomorrow. The Eddyville project with ODOT, they're taking another look at that. We'll talk about that with Hasso Herring. And then on Wednesday on the show, we're going to have Kyle Ziegler going to be talking to us about what it's like to be in the Bering Sea as a commercial fisherman. He says the show, The Deadliest Catch, is spot on. That's what it's like. We'll be talking to him about his experience on Wednesday. Valley Talk, I'm Dave. Do you have a comment about the show? Send me an email, dave@kgal.com. Be safe. Have a good day. Bill, thanks for being with us on the show.
Locally owned and operated, this is the very independent News Talk 1580 KGAL, Lebanon, Albany, Corvallis.